Oh, wow, I can hear myself. Who's doing that?
Yep, can't now.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Synth Geekery, episode 201. It is the 22nd of April. This is so we can, like, put us somewhere at a place at a time, whatever. It's going to be, hopefully, if we have time, about monitoring. And I think we'll have time, definitely. And we have some amazing people who like to come here and share this experience with you. And one that's been away for a little bit, I might start with that gentleman, and that's Mr. Brooks. So we'll go, hopefully this button works, and actually it won't because it'll have someone else's name. I just need to fix it. Actually, no, it should work.
See, we told you, Ranz.
It should work.
We told you, Ranz. We
there
told
we go.
you.
It worked.
Hi, everyone.
I did prepare it. How are you, mate? You good?
That's bright going underneath that. Yeah, I was just looking at the light going underneath that blind and how bright that is. It's not bright in here. It's just... Anyway, that's by the way. Yeah, I'm all right. Thanks, folks. As some of you know, I've had a medical treatment done this week, and I'm sort of recovering from that. It's all gone very well. I was going to go to play the Derby EMOM on Thursday night, but and I'd even got me case and stuff in the car. And as soon as I finished work, I just thought I really can't do this. I'm just too. So I had to let Jim know and say I'm really sorry, but I'm not going to be able to do it. I can't. Sorry. When he was very understanding, so thank you, Jim, for understanding that I wasn't in a fit enough state to do that. But that was a shame because I've been looking forward to it for ages. You know, that was in the diary before the little medical procedure was in the diary. So, well, these things happen. So. How's everybody else? We all okay?
We are going good. We're just waiting on Andy to jump in. So we'll go across to Ian. I think you're there, Ian. You should.
Yeah. Hi, guys. Everybody. Welcome back, Andy. We missed you.
Oh, thank you, Ian.
Yeah. So what have I been doing this week? I've got a mastering job on the go at the moment, which is quite nice. And I've been spending money. I went and bought the Arturia Rev LX24 Lexicon clone. I know it was out a couple of weeks ago, but actually I kept getting emails from Arturia saying, you've only got 48 hours to buy it. And I kept thinking, shall I? Anyway, I did it. And I haven't played with it much yet, but I've always loved Lexicon reverbs. So apart from that, normal week, really. Went to the pictures this morning.
Wow, what'd you see?
I went to see Champions, which is the new Woody Harrelson movie, where he's a baseball coach for a load of disabled guys and girls.
Oh, yeah?
Really, I mean, you could argue it's slightly predictable in places, but it was a really good thing to do on a Saturday morning. It was a feel-good movie. It was good.
It was like a sports morning and a sports movie.
Yeah,
sort of thing.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. It's better than going to the gym anyway.
Yeah, I coached this morning, soccer or football.
Well done.
Yeah. So, for my youngest son, he's only 8, so it was like herding cats.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
Darren's here, Mr. Darren. How are you, mate?
Good day. Hello. We missed you, Andy. Yes, we did. I needed someone to back me up on anything, but yeah, we missed you. So
we just left you on the lurch.
That's not what he said, Andy.
I never agree with anything you say, Darren. I don't know what you're talking about.
Exactly. Plus, it gives me a chance to eat some stuff while you're talking.
I see.
Yeah, good.
Right, okay.
Yeah, not too bad. Been a pretty busy week. The album's out. I've released the album. Andrew, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Nice one.
Oh, come on.
And Chris as well, who's at the side, is in chat anyway. Chris, thanks for popping over and getting the album. I hope you both like it. It's been a little while, but the video's out now, so that's just advertising the album. But that's got the bonus track on. But the bonus track that you've got is just slightly different. If you listen to them both, you'll find that there's a synth in the bonus track where it's not in the YouTube version, and it's spaced out wider than the YouTube version. That's just sort of advertising the album. So everybody jump over to Bandcamp and have a look at The Life We Live too. It's very thoughtful, I think. If Andy's listened to it, I don't know if you think it's thoughtful, Andy?
I haven't yet. No, I've not had a chance yet, but I will do later on.
Well, when you do, it's very thoughtful and sort of following on from the first album, but I think there's a bit more sort of, yeah. It makes you sit down and think as well as listen to the music. So,
well,
I
think.
But other than that,
the first one is great.
Well, if you like the first one, you like this one. There's a little bit more, what can I say? A bit more thought, a bit more messaging in it. But it's very, very on the same lines. Maybe not as many ambient sort of tracks in it. But other than that, it's go over to Bandcamp, check it out.
Darren, they're all asking you to whack your Bandcamp link into the chat, so I'll get you to do that because you're not a lot better than me. Actually, no, I could probably do it quickly here. Wait a minute.
I was going to say, can you do it because I'm on my iPad there and I can't do it from my iPad.
Where have I got it? I've got your YouTube channel link here. All right, I'll get it in. I'll get it in there in a sec. It's not.
I'll do it, Rams. I'm on.
Oh, you're onto it. Cool, beautiful. Thanks, Brooksy. All right, and Andy, Synth Addict, has joined us. I don't know if his microphone's all set up and ready to go. You ready to go, mate?
Should be okay now.
Yeah, there we go. How are you,
Andy.
mate?
Look at that. Look at that. I got it in the first try.
Yeah.
How you guys doing?
Yeah, we're good.
We're good.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good.
Any news from you?
Nah, just you guys all saw the NAMM stuff. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You're
back now.
The Crazy Kent Spong show was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was great fun. I enjoyed your video on Venice Beach.
Oh, you like that? Yeah, that was fun too.
I did because you hear about these places, and I just thought that was really good. Just to see you walking down it, it's fantastic. It's great.
So over the years, that's kind of a pilgrimage. If I have time and the weather's decent, I go there every time I'm down in LA. Just because, as you saw, it's a little bit of everything, right?
Yeah, it's not half.
Guys selling pot and skateboarders and weird artists and you name it. You never know what's going to happen. I think one scene you almost see some guy almost accost some woman. It looked like this guy looked like Jesus, but so you never know what's going to happen in that place. And I really wanted to capture for years, and I borrowed a friend's video camera once. It was never for good quality, and this time I said, well, I have a decent gimbal and I have the time, and I hope the signal holds up. It did mostly. There's a little bit of glitches here and there, but it was a lot of fun. So now it's kind of a document, so I don't have to try so hard next time. I've got Venice Beach, and people can enjoy it. So
yeah, some of it looks like Blackpool.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's pretty funny.
We won't go there.
No.
Good times.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, it's nice to have everyone here. I'm very dark, aren't I? I probably haven't turned the lights up properly. I'm darker than you guys. I'm not sure what's going on there.
Hey, that's unusual because it's usually me that's dark and I'm one of the brightest there.
It is late here though, but I could probably I've got the dimmer on the lights. I'll probably turn them up in a sec, just to sort of poke a bit more light into the room. We're going to say hello to the chatties. I think it's this button. Yay, buttons are working. Hi chatties. They can't actually speak. They can just type. Say something in the chat. There you go. Look at that. When I do it's like probably 10 second delay, so you'll see like this flood of in about 10 seconds when it just nice to have everyone here. I'm just going to quickly randomly say hello to people, starting with obviously our channel members who they're like royalty channel members. They keep the channel afloat. JX3D is one of them. You can see a nice little badge next to his name, and Inverted Popes is another one. Brooksy's one as well. We shouldn't discount the fact that he's one. Kent Spong's one, and Makeshifter's one. Who else have we got? So shout out to those guys. Yeah. I'm pretty sure there's more.
Dave Surchek, if he's in.
Dave's there, yeah. I don't know if he's in though.
Is he there? I don't know.
I haven't seen him yet so far, but it is early in the morning for David. But other than that, there's also our regular chatties like Wagoo and Culture of Ghosts and Azio Head and Hanway and Apis Lapis and Daniela's even there. It's nice to have Daniela. Lady Aptitude, JP Page 2, Matt Brown, Paul Torbett, in very random order. I'm actually scrolling up today, and I bet you it scrolls on me. Prometheus UK is there. And Robbie Puricelli, Failed Muso, is big hello to you. Hope your move is treating you well. It's always fun moving. Not really. It was kind of sarcasm.
No, it's not,
George Kempson, Geert's there. And I've probably forgotten a few people. And if I have, I do apologise. But we have to move on, unfortunately. But yeah, it's awesome to have everyone in the chat. So if you're wondering, if you're watching, and you're wondering what Synth Geekery is about, we kind of talk about things to do with synthesizers and related stuff, music tech. So anything that's kind of related to it. And today we're going to be talking about monitoring, which is related because we need to be able to monitor our sounds. And it's a pretty big topic. So I'm not sure how it's going to go, but I know only this much about it. So I'm hoping that other people will be able to jump in and give their 2 cents worth. But before we do that, we've got regular segments that we're going to hit. We've got some news. Ian's going to run with one of the news items, so he's excited about that. And
scary.
You're going to go first when we do the news. But before
Right, okay.
we do that, we are going to go here. Off on a little journey of humour. Yes, and speaking of this was last week's product. Mum, can I have I think they're called Dirty Wave Mate. I think that's the name of the company that makes them. No, we have a Dirty Wave Mate at home, and it happens to be the Poly-End Tracker Mini. Someone's getting in there already. Clever. Whoever did that one, that was a synth meme one, so shout out to those guys on Facebook. We also have this one. This is a lovely vicious circle, this is. So when I'm sad, I buy synths. And when I buy synths, the wife is angry. And when the wife is angry, I'm sad. So when I buy yeah, you guys get it right. Vicious circle. It's one of those. I think we've had something similar before. I wouldn't tell anyone if I won the lottery, but there would be signs. That's really good. That is a really good meme. Just the humour part of it is actually, I dig this. Whoever's done that, big pat on the back to you. And this one came across when you're in Australia and you come across your local music shop. If you happen to open the box, they go up in value. This is a real screenshot. Look at that, eh? Closed box, $4.99. Open box, $5.99. Winner.
It's
so there you go.
Saves you opening the box, I suppose.
Yeah, but you know, who would have thought? Chip shortages. I don't know what's going on there. Favorite meme of the week, people.
Lottery for me. It's got to be the lottery.
Lottery was good, wasn't it?
Yeah, just in case you're curious, I did not win the lottery with this. This is not a lottery. So.
But Andy, the fact that you've got that
now,
right near by is a bit of a scratch head moment, right? It's handy to you.
Well, because I made fun of it last time, I think. So.
Weasel out of that one. So lottery looks like it's won for the week. Let's have a look what the chatties have said. Darren, you said lottery too, didn't you?
Yeah.
The box was opened by Craig McLaughlin. Stop it with the Aussie jokes. Stop it. A lot of people won't even know who Craig McLaughlin is. He's old now.
Who's Craig McLaughlin?
Who's Craig McLaughlin?
Well, he was
in Neighbours, wasn't he?
actor, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Charlene.
The blonde curly hair.
He was Charlene.
Yeah.
I thought.
He was
No,
Charlene.
he wasn't.
Charlene
Oh yeah, actually, no, I do. No, I know.
That was Jason
I know enough about
Donovan,
Neighbours.
It was Jason Donovan.
Yeah, that was
This is
Jason
like-
Donovan, but it was a bit later, wasn't it?
I never really cared for that show.
Gary. Oh, what was his name?
You know his name?
Went on to. I can't remember. Went on to.
Gary Newman.
Oh, Gary Newman. No, Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. He did that one.
I
can't remember.
I know you're talking about.
I can't remember.
Guy Pearce.
Damn.
Guy Pearce.
Guy Pearce.
Not Gary. Guy Pearce. That's it. Sorry.
Yep.
Gary wasn't even quite well. I got the first letter right.
Hugo Weaving was also in that show as well.
Yeah.
And a lot of people will know him as the guy that does the Mr. Anderson voice in The Matrix. So
That's like a soap, right? The show you're talking about?
Yeah,
It is, yeah. I think it did have a bit of a run in the US. It did have, but it wasn't that popular in the US. It was very popular in the UK. Probably more popular in the UK than it was in Australia.
Mr. Anderson, come on,
Hugo Weaving.
He played Elrond. Hugo Weaving. That's it. He played.
He did play Elrond. Yeah,
he's
huge in the US now. That guy. Yeah, he's done.
Hugo Weaving.
Yep.
Guy
Anyway.
Pearce's as well.
Yeah,
Really
he
good.
is,
His breakout was Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, right? Wasn't his breakout role?
That's a superb film. That
Probably.
I've seen that. I remember really liking it.
Probably.
Well, watch again. I love it. It's just so funny from beginning to end. I mean, Terence Stamp as a drag queen. That's just funny in itself.
Yeah.
That was kind of a surprise, wasn't it? I really enjoyed that. Yeah. All right. Well, why don't we speak of news? Now, as always, it just likes to do random stuff, right? So I'm just going to go boom. Now, Ian.
Yeah.
Would you Would you like me to do this first?
Show the video.
Yeah.
Yeah, show the video first.
All right, let's do this.
The 5 Moons is a simple multi-track recorder. It features 5 tracks, unlimited songs, looping, and a bounce down button. It's easy to use. Record enable a track. Press the start/stop button to begin recording on this track. Press it again to stop. Now you can play the track. Turn looping on to make things more interesting, and hit play. Use the slider to adjust the track volume. While it's playing, record on a different track. Now each track will play over and over again. When you like how the song sounds, press the bounce down button. And the bounce becomes the first track of a new song, ready for 4 more tracks. In a way, 5 Moons is an infinite track recorder. You can have as many songs as you like. Use these buttons to navigate them.
All right, I think we get the idea, Ian. Over to you.
Right. This is Critter and Guitari, who, as you guys know, I am a fan. And I thought, this only dropped, I think this dropped yesterday. I thought, this is really interesting. It's sort of like a little mixer. And it records at sampling rates of 48 kilohertz, 16-bit. You can record about 20 hours on the built-in SD card, micro SD card. And I thought, this is fantastic. It's about $350, I think, something like that.
$325, I think. Yep.
$325, right. So about 300 quid UK, probably. And then I watched the video and I thought, this is really good. And then I looked at the specification and I couldn't believe that it's mono. And I think that they've missed something here with this.
Yeah,
I mean, I thought it was brilliant till I saw that it's only mono in and mono out, and I have to say, not that I would have bought it because I don't need it, to be fair, but I was just so disappointed because I just thought, it's wood, and it's a nice little, it's a nice little mixer. It's tiny, great for EMOMs and stuff like that. But then with the mono output, and it's
we can sell anything to Ian now, can't we?
Yeah, just make
just
making wood.
Yeah,
exactly. Well, provided it's got to be stereo. Anything in stereo works.
Stereo
You'll never
and wood.
admit it, will you, that you've got those teenage engineering dolls? You'll never admit it. I know you won't.
No, well, they're just outside. You'll hear them speak in a minute. So I loved it till I saw it was mono. Which I just think is a massive own goal, really.
It is, in a way, it is. But what they should have done is had the mono channels, right? But then made the main output stereo, and then you could muck around with panning or something.
I'd have been quite happy with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like modular.
That'd be fine. Put 2 monos in, stereo out, happy days. I'd have been, and in fact, I mean, I wasn't that bothered about the fact you can sort of mix it down because it is very, very old school, that, and I don't know how I mean, I used to do that with old tape 4 tracks, and obviously they used to degrade quite considerably. You know, this probably degrade. I've never done it, so I'm assuming it doesn't degrade. Won't degrade as much.
Yeah.
But you're making those. You're having to make those decisions. You've recorded your 4 tracks, and you know. So yeah, I liked it till I saw that.
Yeah.
know.
I kind of thought in that one of the cool things, if they could update the firmware, maybe, that this could do is that, you know how he showed how you could sort of scroll through the different recordings, the loops?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be cool if you could MIDI manipulate that and you could send an LFO into a MIDI sort of signal and it would literally just, even like a sample and hold, randomly select one of those loops and just scroll through it and you get that kind of chaotic stuff.
Yeah, there is potential because for some reason there is there's a standard USB and there's USB A port and a USB C port. And I'm thinking, why have they put both on? I know one will be taking power.
One would be power, yeah.
Yeah.
And the other one would probably be the connectivity. Let me bring the website up anyway. We can have a quick looky.
Couldn't the other USB take stereo audio out?
That would be great. I mean, that could be surely that could be done on firmware.
Yeah, exactly. Or even each track as well.
Yeah.
Especially.
Yeah. I mean, you can just plug it into a computer and you can take your tracks off like you can with an awful lot of other stuff. So you know, you're not stuck to mixing it inside the box. And I like the fact you had the looper. The looper was a great idea. Don't know how long the looper will go for.
Yeah.
But and it did make me think the chompy world a little bit, isn't it? But
yeah,
it is.
It's almost like there's some sort of GitHub algorithm that the people are just reusing because it seems to be coming out a lot of stuff these days. One shot or loop is your options, and then you bounce it down, and it's kind of like an overdub, right? The bounce down.
It is, yeah.
But it does have they're saying here the USB-C port is for file and data transfer. So I guess it would be class compliant for that sort of stuff. So you don't actually have to record in there. You could probably just drop samples in.
Oh, you can. You can drop a whole. It said somewhere on the website. It says you can drop a whole song in, and I might have already said this, but you've got 7 gigabytes of disk space. 1 gigabyte is taken up with the hardware, the firmware, and you've got about 20 hours of recording.
It's almost like someone's grabbed some wood from IKEA and chucked a bit of electronics in it. Yeah. It's pretty cool though.
I mean, they are an inventive. Yeah, they're a small. Obviously, they're over in Brooklyn. I did watch a video at one point of them. You know, it was quite an early video of them actually literally building it in their little factory. You know, now they may have moved on from that, but they're a small boutique company, and I like the fact that they are doing this weird. I mean, I think their microphone is bonkers. They've got this weird microphone that they're selling or trying to sell, but they're actually currently they're giving it away if you buy an Organ LS. You know, so but they're doing interesting stuff. And like a lot of these companies, it probably doesn't always work in the sense of massive sales. You know, they're trying to replicate what they've done with the IZ and what they've done with the Organelle. You know, but they are inventing. So good on them for that, really.
Tech specs
looks good from the top, but it kind of looks just like a chunk of 2x4 from the side.
It doesn't it? And how long will it stay pretty?
After you start getting
That's true.
pizza fingers all over it.
It looks quite a light wood, so you don't want to get it in the sun. It'll definitely darken.
Yeah.
Indeed. Other than that, though, I mean, look, if it's some sort of teensy processor or some sort of DSP chip they're using, I don't think it would be completely out of the thing to be able to change it to a stereo output.
No.
Unless they've got some sort of special DAC on there that's separate to it. I don't know.
I mean, usually their stuff is open source. You know, this isn't. This doesn't seem to be open source at the moment. No, maybe they,
Yeah.
Maybe it's a foot in the water thing. Foot in the water. Toe in the water.
Toe in the bathtub.
Yeah, toe in the bathtub.
Yeah.
You know. And they've not done. I don't think they've done a Kickstarter with it. It's just available because they recently relaunched the piano thing, and that went to Kickstarter. This is just available. You know.
What are the chatties saying? I haven't been keeping an eye on them.
Okay. Hi, Jim.
Steve Elbows says the warmth of wood invites you in.
Yeah.
As long as you don't get
I didn't see the price on it. What's the price?
$325 US.
$325 US.
Yeah. Just don't play it near your. You know how you got your little open fire and you got your little pile of wood. Just don't get it mixed up with the kindling.
There is a problem for us in Europe and the UK in the fact that they currently are not exporting to their dealership.
Oh, really?
Their distributorship. You have to buy from them direct, which is not. I mean, that adds a lot to the price anyway. You know, unless you know somebody who's going to America.
It's a bit like those Vectral things as well. Kind of weird stuff going on at the moment with importing and exporting around the world.
Shipping wood could be tricky too. We had an issue at the laser company with crates where you had to have the treated wood with a little anti-bug slash through it.
Yeah, it's the SETI rules. I've fallen foul of this time and time again trying to export guitars. You know, you have to have
search for extraterrestrial intelligence.
It's no, it's not that SETI. It's the acronym means something else, I think. I might have got SETI wrong. I think it is SETI because I remember trying to export just export it to Germany before Brexit, and the amount of paperwork that we had to have and trying to get, when something's imported, a piece of wood is imported into the UK, there's all this paperwork that comes with it, and we at that point thought, this must come with the distributor, and they just pass it on to us, and we'll pass it on to the customer. It doesn't work like that. We would have to apply for a license to actually export certain woods. And it was about endangered woods. Mahogany is one of them. So maybe oak, something like that. I don't know.
We bought something from one of those furniture places just around around here, and they import from China. And when we got it home and unpacked it and unwrapped all the plastic and all this sort of stuff, there was a little spider in one, and it was alive. And it wasn't like wasn't like an Australian spider, just a little tiny little baby spider. It was so cute. But yeah, imagine if that thing bred with a huntsman.
Now I'm puzzled.
Yeah, Chris had just said rosewood fretboards were banned at one point, and they were. In fact, that's why certain manufacturers started to make guitar fretboards out of a composite wood that looked like rosewood but wasn't real rosewood. To avoid that issue.
Really. But think of all the.
It's funny, and they had several companies with raw wood. As I was walking by some of the stands, you can see there's raw wood stands, which I don't remember seeing before. That was kind of interesting.
It is a thing in some industries, like picture framing and that seems to be a thing where people like raw wood. And it's not because they want to take it home and turn it into a craft project. It's because they actually like the smell of cedar or the smell of Tasmanian oak or whatever it is, Canadian maple or something. You know what I mean? Like it's I don't know, whatever it is. Okay. Anyone else want to make a comment about the 5 moons?
I'm not so sure about the name.
Trick. They missed a marketing trick there, right? You just imagine 5 blokes up on a hill dropping their trousers.
Well, that's the thing. That's an international joke, right? I mean, it's not a regional thing at all. So
it is. Anyone?
Well, there's 5 of us.
No,
Yeah.
So
No, I'm not.
sorry.
I've
3,
never moved
2,
yet.
1.
I'm not going to start now.
Oh yeah. Okay. Enough now. Enough already.
Okay. Well, I think we'll move on to the next one, eh?
Yeah.
What have we got next? On a little bag of tricks. We've gone from 5 moons now to a white rabbit. It's all very medieval. Right. Okay. Let's have a look at the white rabbit, shall we, people? Yes, I think we should. Sounds like what I was doing before, Darren.
Aye.
This is a Error Instruments module, and it's an experimental FX module. So, yeah, kind of. I found it interesting anyway. So let's have a little bit of a look here again at it. What we got is pretty much a delay and a reverb effects DSP type module in there, right? But they've actually given us this X and Y control. I'm pretty sure the way I read it, the X is the big golden sort of coloured knob in the middle, and the Y is the one just above it or below it, I believe, anyway. And basically, to give you an example, what it does is it lets you, quote unquote, fall down the rabbit hole with these sort of reverb and delay, crazy time-based effects. And you can move this with those knobs. For example, with the delay, there's a carpless strong algorithm which plucks your signal, and X is the length of the string and Y is the dampening, and you can set X all the way to the right and connect the output to the input to create a self-oscillating sound that you can then control. And under the reverb, you've got another error algorithm, which is like sticking your head in a metal bucket. This is their words, right? And X is the size of the bucket and Y is the granular. So you set X all the way to the right and you connect the output to the input and create a self-oscillating sound that you can control. So the third knob down the bottom, I think, is the wet dry mix, I think. Anyway, yeah, and then they use terms like soaking the white rabbit with the wet dry mix. They're pretty crazy, these Error Instruments guys. I really like their sense of humor. It's pretty cool. But here's another FX module, which is taking sort of the mad side of FX and then giving us a bit more control in that realm, which it's nice in a way. It's a nice thing. So thoughts, anyone?
How much is it?
It is, I did have a price, €179.
Okay. It's not that bad for a...
I'll just bring up the modular grid page so you guys can have a squiz. Technical term, that, squiz. I did have it.
The Metallica bits sounded like a rainbow machine a little bit.
Yeah. There it is there.
It was, I suppose the sound source is quite dependent on what it does, so it's whatever you're putting into it.
Yep.
So that other module that they were putting in, that was probably making a lot of that sort of weird bleepy bloopy metallic-y stuff, and then it was being manipulated through the module. I thought it sounded really interesting, actually. I know there's all the usual jokes in the chat about, bleepy bloopy modular, so musical and la 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 la.
Can't you do that anyway?
Yeah, you wouldn't. Yeah, you can do it with other stuff. I mean, I just thought it was interesting, interesting sounds and another sort of textural thing. I mean, I was quite taken with that one. Yeah, I might check that one out more.
It's
very
8
radio
HP, Brooksy.
workshop.
8 HP.
Yes, actually, it sounded very old-fashioned, didn't it? It really sort of like, Forbidden Planet, Radiophonic Workshop, that sort of thing.
Like a tapey
Definitely
sort
in
of
that
thing.
territory. Yeah. Definitely.
Let's have a little look at the modular grid page anyway, because these are always good to look at. So they were talking about ping pong delays, standard delays, X so the ping pong delay, for example, X determines hopping between channels. Sorry, X determines the airtime of the bounce, and Y keeps stacking the signal. See, I like things like that, right? With reverb, there's an experimental one, which is a cinematic shimmer, where Y is the pitch bending and X is the size of the space. So it is a DSP module, right? And I wouldn't be surprised if Era brings out more stuff for this particular thing. So, it's a pretty cool thing anyway. There's that. Yes. Anyone else want to make a comment? Darren, for you? Not for you?
Possibly. Yeah. I wish they'd play. What that needed. That module is something, a sound going into it that we all like. For instance, a simple drum beat, and then just play it, just so you can sort of get to hear what the actual unit is doing. I mean, because what he's pumping into it, you're not exactly sure which is making the. Or just it's just something that we know. So that's why I went for a drum beat, just a simple drum beat. We all know what that sounds like, and then you can sort of hear the delays, the reverbs, how it's bending it, and what it's doing. But yeah, if it's making some weird noises, that's always good for me. I don't mind having something a bit off the outside of the box, as it were.
That sort of stuff is what they're trying to do, right?
Yeah.
But there's plenty of modules that do that.
So you don't need that now. You've just demonstrated.
Any delay with feedback will do that.
But the X and Y is the thing that's kind of got me interested, and they're mapping that X and Y specifically to their algorithm, aspect. So they're giving us control over something that maybe some of these other modules don't give you controls over. But yeah, I think it's like you guys said, it's one of the things that if you like the sound of it with your sound going through it, then it might be for you. But yeah, definitely check it out. White Rabbit.
The name reminds me of that Chinese candy too, called White Rabbit. So
yeah.
Not sure we get that over here.
I've had it, but I can't remember what it tastes like now. I'm just trying to think what it tastes like.
It's kind of milky.
It's not soft though, is it?
Edible rice paper.
It's not soft, is it? It's not like
it's a little firm, but it has edible rice paper. It looks like you can't eat it, but you can. You take the outside wrapper off.
Yeah.
It's got a little running rabbit logo.
Yeah. Okay. Now I remember it. Yeah.
It's a weird dairy-based candy thing. So.
Yeah, it's kind of a sweetened condensed milk sort of flavor.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. I remember it now. Cool. Right. What else did we have? Another eurorack module. Sorry, people. The TASM 0. I'm pretty sure that's how they're saying it. The TASM 0, but I'll find out in a minute because I have actually watched the video, but I forgot how he pronounced it. The TASM 0 is a new ALM busy circuits module, and I was actually quite impressed with what I saw of this so far. So I'll shut up for a second. You guys can watch the video.
The TASM O is an analog triangle core oscillator featuring through 0 FM and a collection of features found across classic oscillator designs. The primary shape output includes a continuous morphing wave to pulse width shape control and a built-in level VCA for flexible patching as a synth voice or other creative uses. Direct sine and saw wave outputs are also available along with dual 1 and 2 octave down square wave sub outputs. The through 0 FM input includes a mod index VCA for fast and straightforward additive patching when paired with a secondary oscillator. Designed to act as the primary oscillator in a system, the TASM O offers a wide range of timbrel and patch flexibility, let's take a closer look at its features.
All right, so there's a 22-minute video there that everyone can watch. I'll play a little bit of the outro. It's nice anyway. You got to hear it. I mean, you got to hear it with a whole bunch of other ALM modules, in the mix. They're kind of showcasing, the Mega Tang and the MFX module, which you could probably hear in the background with it being plumbed through that. I don't know. I kind of thought it was nice. But what I found was interesting about it is the continuous morphing wave, pulse, width, shape. And they're saying that it's inspired by Surge NTO, which is a dual SH101 styled varied pulse sub-octave output. And a voltage-controlled FM index typically found on larger complex oscillators. So the built-in effects with the through zero side of it, it kind of had definitely some familiar sounds to it, which I thought was kind of vintage almost in a way. It's definitely analog, by the way, too. 12 HP, 379 US for the price of that. Thoughts, comments?
It sounds nice. It's a bit pricey, isn't it?
It's typical ALM price.
ALM stuff is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is.
Yep. 3.0. What's 3.0 stuff have you guys got already?
I have no idea.
Hmm?
I can't remember.
Honestly, you see it mentioned on various oscillators and things like that, and it's.
Yep.
I mean, it's. Oh, let's see if I can work it out. It's to do with how you modulate it with things like FM. It's to do with frequency modulation. But I can never quite get my head around it, so I don't really know. So I'll shut up.
That's all right. Well, we can have a look at what it says on the what do you call it? Modular grid page, if you want. That's always a good start, isn't it? Modular grid.
I've got busy circuits open, so
yeah. Modules, ALM, the most recent module on the system. Easy one to find. There you go. So, it talks about continuous crossfading wave shapes with direct voltage control through 0 FM input and direct voltage controlled mod index. Dedicated outputs for sine or triangle, saw, and sub 1 and sub 2 squares. Primary. Okay, this is the thing that I like to read because people do VCOs and the octave range is either 5 voltage, and I get really disappointed when I see that. This one's got 8, so that's pretty good. I'd like to see 10 or I don't know, something decent though. Octave transpose through the CV input, ranging 3 octaves, so that's interesting. Hard sync input, LFO mode with bipolar LED indication rear switches for selecting sub 2 pulse width. So there's probably some settings at the back that they're doing with the oscillator chip, I would say. Made in England too, if you didn't know that. 38 millimeters deep, 12 HP. Yep. I think I mentioned before, 379, which was the price. And it's that typical sort of silver look from ALM busy circuits. It's their style. They've got some pretty. I don't know if the knobs are unique, but they tend to use that sort of similar style throughout their modules. I mean, I've got got a few of theirs here. Sid Guts Deluxe, things like that. They're pretty good. I would actually like to have a lot more of their stuff because I think some of their gear is amazing.
That's cool.
Yeah. I just don't really know yet what I would do with an oscillator like this. There's a massive frequency knob on there. It's like accidentally knocked that sucker. Yeah. But I do like how they've got the attenuator on the index, and they've also got a separate index for the FM connection, and they've got obviously a through 0 FM CV control as well, which I thought was interesting. So yeah.
There's a quick description on the Instro website about through 0. It's kind of interesting. It says, unlike traditional FM where an oscillator momentarily stalls as negative voltage pulls its frequency down to 0 hertz. This one inverts the polarity of its waveforms until positive voltage pulls it back through 0 hertz. The behavior allows complex waveforms with less non-harmonic sidebands. Mm-hmm. Less clang, more bang.
Let's clang, more bang. Say that in a Scottish accent.
Pretty bad
for
at that.
instrument.
Practice.
Yeah, for the instrument. That'll be good.
Okay, then. Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Let's clang.
Why does everybody always say that, though?
Story to all my Scottish friends.
Oh, yeah. We're not taking the P155.
Yeah.
All right, moving
which
on.
you now have none.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I had two before, so maybe I've got none.
Right, next. I think this is the last one. Sibylla from Clatters. Interesting indeed. I do have a video as well for this, so it's always good when you've got videos.
Underwood.
I definitely like it when people put videos out because we can watch and listen to things, you know. Some of them aren't the greatest videos, I know, but this is a stereo DSP oscillator, or digital DSP, I should say, stereo oscillator, which creates drone sounds and harmonics. But let's meet it in the video. Lots of more stuff in that video to watch, but I'm not going to go through it. One of the things you probably didn't really sort of pick up on, I'm not sure if he mentioned it that well, is the left and right output are stages of the two feedback audio loops. So when what you're hearing is kind of like the oscillator's audio loops, and the loops are made up of main sub sinusoidal wave oscillators and two saw and sine waves with frequencies affected by the generation of harmonics in the right channel and subharmonics in the left channel, which he showed how you could scroll through the subharmonics, which I thought was interesting. All waveforms possess different phases, and you can offset is constantly affected by the minor variations created by the two pairs. So it's kind of like that sort of waveform fluctuation type sort of thing that creates the droney sounds. I liked how you could set a pitch to it, and then you could just disconnect it, and then just have this thing drone out, and then you could modulate all that sort of kind of cool stuff. There was like fall, rise, grains, backdrop, all these kind of different sort of things in it. There is a resonant low pass filter that it uses to create noise interference. It creates this destructive sort of interference with the LFOs, and then it distributes these delays differently inside, and that's what's creating all these kind of granular grain sort of sounds with the oscillator. So it's kind of technical in its description, but I think it's pretty interesting for a digital oscillator. Imagine that's through a nice analog filter, or sequencing that, or something. I don't know. It's modulating something with the sequencer, like a voltage block or anything like that. Anyone want to comment on the Sibylla?
How much is it? Do we know?
320 euros. 320 euros.
Yes.
Darren is very price sensitive.
I am very price sensitive. Well, I have to save for things. That's why you've got to. Yeah, you've got to sort of plan out what you need and what you want. So that's especially in these times. So I quite like it. It's quite interesting though. It's quite. I don't mind these drony type oscillate. Where you can just literally let things just drone away, and it sort of gives you sound, especially when you start putting it through effects. Yeah, I quite like it. But yes, I am price sensitive. I am sorry. I will be the price sensitive guru here. It's about £300, isn't it?
421 US. I think it's 320 euros. Yeah, it's a bit pricey, but it's probably the boutiqueness of this business.
That's the thing with modular. Well, any boutique stuff is always going to be more expensive, and it depends how much you like it and how much you need it when you start getting into pricey stuff.
Yep.
But I do quite like it. Whether I'll be able to ever pop that on my list is different. I don't know. I wouldn't mind it in a little case as a small case for maybe going live.
Kind of thinking that through
small things. Interesting.
That through like marbles, manipulating that through clouds. It would probably like this mod voice needs to have some other stuff around it to really sell this thing. They didn't really sell it enough, I don't think, in the video.
No, I think they put the little Korg sequence in, didn't they, for the first few seconds. But I was sort of on the same wavelength, like marbles and something like that. Yeah, it sounds possibly interesting, especially sticking it to some big effects as well. Could be quite a nice, big atmospheric machine. Like I say, I don't mind it.
Like a rings, I don't know, helping the sort of with the sort of sounds triggering it. I don't know.
It's got you thinking when it go through though, so it's got to be fairly interesting.
Oh yeah. It's not a module. It's not a module that you just go no, I don't fancy it. Yeah, it's got you thinking. So there's always promise in a module that gets you thinking. I'm not dead against DSP oscillators at all. I highly rate the Roland System 8 synth. I highly rate the Novation Peak. I actually think
I'm like Ian.
Digital oscillators.
If it sounds good, I don't care what's making the noise.
Yep. Yeah. I'm interested in more information about it. So, Cladders, let us know more about this thing. Show us a bit more information. It'd be interesting to sort of see.
Where are Cladders based anyway? Is it European? Do we know? Any ideas? I've never heard of them before, so.
Is it Cladders or Clatters?
Clatters. So yeah, contacts.
Yeah.
Why don't people tell us where
I do hate it when this is
Italy.
Yeah.
Oh, are they going to say the address is there? Yeah, right. Okay. I was about to say I hate it when companies don't put their address on their website. I mean, the amount of times that I come across a company that don't do that, and I think this. Well, why are you not doing that? Because you've got something to hide. Tell us where you are.
They haven't got a massive listing of products though. Just so you know, they've got the Sibylla, the Garden Listener. Don't even know what that is. Some sort of buffered malt, I'm guessing.
I must admit, it sounds cool though.
Pocket Garden Listener.
On the Pocket Garden Listener.
Yeah. What is that? Let's have a little look at that now.
See, I were more interested in the garden listener than
Yeah, because the price was better. Random control messages generator from biometric signals. Okay.
Oh, is it one of those you connect to plants?
Oh, yeah.
It detects conductivity variations from living being surfaces and then transforms them into MIDI notes.
It's like the galvanic skin response. I have the plant wave one.
Yeah. I've seen those things before. But I saw someone do it with a couple of sweet potatoes the other day. It's quite funny.
Yeah, Intro makes one as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what
so Cladders Sibylla. There we go. What are the chatties saying? Who's buying a Sibylla? Where do you stick to electrodes, says Woogu. More cladders, less splatters, says Manny. I'm definitely butchering the name because I do that. I don't know, Brooksy. I butcher every single name, every single pronunciation. That's just me. Maybe I do it on purpose.
Not Australian.
Sibylla. Anyway, that is it for news. I believe it is. We got through it. A couple of Euro modules. A looper on a chunk of wood.
Chunk of wood, yeah, exactly.
There was other things that were released, post NAMM, but I've chosen not to show them. There's some of these companies that are releasing these, stupid, basically copy synths on a controller, and it just we won't go there. We've talked about these guys before, so I'm not going to talk about them.
There's not been a huge amount that's been tickling your fancy, is there, over the past couple of months?
Not really. There's been a lot of software stuff, but we have shown where it's a decent sort of caliber. We have shown it. So
I always say it's a good year, being the saving up person, is when they go, and I've got a list this big that I need to save up for, knowing that I'll probably never get to any of them. But I know then it's a good year for stuff that's, but this year it's like, most of the stuff that I'd be saving up for is stuff that's already been out. Nothing's really floated the boat recently.
Well, Roland have already released their synth thing. They usually release a few things. They've released that, was it the SH? The SH404?
4SH.
Yeah.
Whatever it is,
Yeah, the SH4,
whatever it is.
Yeah, the initial, and then afterwards it's... Yeah.
But some of the other companies were a bit quiet. Weren't they?
I'm just waiting for the terror. Yeah. I've said it before. I'm getting bored.
Oh, well, I must admit that is nice.
I just, definitely.
But in a way,
I'm selling stuff to buy it. To buy it.
We've got to look at this as a positive, right? Because our show isn't always just about
I'm not
pushing gear down everyone's throats, right? We've got an opportunity to get to know the gear that we've currently got better, whilst there's no distractions, and I think that's actually a golden opportunity for us to master some of the stuff we've got.
I've doing my purge gear for over a year.
My purge was one of the best things I did. I mean, not that I would have, if I had a different situation with money, I probably would have kept some more of it, but it still was a really good opportunity for me to sort of have a good think about what have I got here, what do I really need, and what can I let go. And what it's done is it's created a lot more simpler sort of distraction for me. Instead of lots of distractions, I've got less distractions, and I can concentrate more on the gear that I've got. There's still probably too much, but
never too much.
Never too much.
Yeah, never have too much. You might not use it, but you can never have too much.
Yeah.
You see, I still feel I don't know the Hydrasynth, and I need to spend much more time with the Hydrasynth.
Yeah.
And actually the sequencer in this, because the sequencer inside the instrument, I was looking at a video before I went to the cinema, which Roger Lynn had put out about 6 years ago, explaining how the sequencer worked, because it's a 32 track, not a 32 track, it's 32 item sequencer. And I'm thinking I need to do something with this. So there's all these things that I've got that I just need to spend more time doing stuff that I don't know about them. You know, but certainly the Hydra synth.
Ian, that's the thing. Time. We don't
time.
have it.
There's not enough time. Not enough time in a week. You know. Just
that's the thing. There isn't enough time in the week because
I could spend all day and I'd never see Jane, and I'd probably end up divorced.
It's not like the 80s where you could just release a CD and you could live off it for the rest of your life. It's like, it's reality now for musicians. We do this for love, not for the money.
It's always been that way though. When I used to learn video and Photoshop and 3D stuff, I would sleep like 4 or 5 hours a night. The only way I could get it in. So everything takes time.
Yeah, and practice, and you know, I was like when you're a kid, you're learning how to play the
I want to
piano or
give up.
whatever. You had to keep practicing. Darren. All right, what do we got next? We have Price
No, I
Watch.
haven't dyed me bloody beard.
He's just an old fart like the rest of us. Yes. Oh, it's all random. Oh, beautiful. Okay,
Oh,
we're
no,
going to do it
come on.
randomly. Okay. I have scoured the interwebs and I've found some interesting auctions. We'll call them reverb sites, not auctions really, are they? Arp Quadra, this one's in Amherst, New Hampshire. Is that right, Andy? NH is New Hampshire?
Yeah.
Yeah, in the United States of America. Booyah.
Yep.
15,500 Aussie smackaroonies. If you
And
want
you've
to
got
buy
to go over for it.
Yeah, it's got
Local
scratches as well.
pickup. Local pickup only, that runs.
It's got scratches too. Let's go
Oh,
some
yeah,
full
look at
screens.
15 button.
What the hell happened there? Like they've scratched the absolute
I know,
living
I'm gonna-
bejesus out of this thing. What's going
I'm
on?
gonna go with it with a nail.
It must look.
Jeez.
Oh, God,
yeah.
I just noticed that. Yeah.
They're trying to what? Are they trying to get those buttons to work and it's not working, so they just keep scratching at it? Or maybe they thought it was a DJ machine or something. I don't know. Everyone who thought when looking at these keyboards, oh, by the way, I'm showing this view now. Everyone who thought looking at these keyboards were thinking one of those keys is going to pop up one day.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Sure did.
But look at the scratches on the green section, on the
God, that's
polysynth
awful.
section. It's horrible.
What the hell?
You should be
Yeah, so that's
ashamed of
that area.
yourself. Yeah. Look, as much as I love ARP Quadras, 15,000 Australian dollars or 7.5, 8,000 British pounds. There's a lot of Malula bars in anyone's mind, and I think you'd have to really want one for that sort of money. But I'm sure it's a lovely thing to own, and for those people who get one, I think there's a guy in the Pro Synth network that's got one recently, keeps talking about it, and good on him for getting it.
Even the stand that it stood on doesn't look very. Looks like it's been kicked about a bit.
yeah, it doesn't
Looks like it's in a dealer's because there's the drums behind and there's lots of other kit around.
It does indeed.
So it's not a private sale by the looks of it.
It's Indie Music. It's called. It's probably a shop.
All right. Yeah.
It says it's in good working condition. Let's go back to here. Here we go. It doesn't really say much. One owner has a flight case. One owner that scratched it. Yeah, we want to talk to this owner. Why did you
It says
scratch
touch
it?
sensitive. I like the touch sensitive thing.
That's why I'm thinking why they scratched it. Maybe they couldn't. I don't know. Maybe they had sweaty fingers or something. But I don't know. Yeah.
It looks well used, and it's been used
Yeah.
a lot. And these things do get bashed
And it's-
about when they're being used live and things.
Yeah, it's gigged, doesn't it?
Some people just hard on stuff. I mean, I just picked up an SY99 that has the kneecap a little bit cracked because somebody probably, while gigging with it, banged it into something, you know. So, but it still works. So,
Right. What's next? What is next is a Roland MKS80 Super Jupiter.
Oh.
This is actually in Australia. So, Chris, you could buy this. It's actually 5.5K. And it's from Found Sound, which are a decent bunch of guys, by the way. You get a lot of Eurorack gear from those guys. And Brunswick East is in Melbourne, if anyone's wondering. So, to probably £3,000, boys. if you wanted to get this. It would have the same voltage for UK people. Australian and UK can exchange gear, but it won't be with these Roland rack mount things from the mid to late 80s. They will definitely be either 110 volts or 220/240 volts. That's just how they are. I had an MKS 70 that was a 110, and I had to step down the voltage on it, or step up. What is it? Step down, step up? I don't know what it is. Step something.
If it's 110, it's step up, isn't it?
Yeah, step up. Anyway, these are interesting. These. Someone said to me, I think it might have been Kent that said it, that the MKS 80 is different to the Jupiter 8.
It is. Yeah.
Voice cards are different or something in them.
Yeah, it's got different oscillators. It's got the same oscillators as the Jupiter 6, I think. So if Kent's there, he can tell us. I think it is. It's just got 8 voices.
To work, I think, Kent.
Yeah. But someone, would definitely give this a bit of love, that's for sure. It's got full MIDI implementation on the back. There are programmers for these as well that you can get, which aren't, like, if you're going to spend 5,000 Australian dollars, you would also go and source one of those programmers as well. But geez, it would sound beautiful. That would sound absolutely delicious. That would just be nice. Thing. 8 voices of beauty. Yeah. So there you go. That's actually not a bad buy. I would say that's a pretty decent price.
Wagyu's probably got 3 of them.
Yeah.
Yes. Now the next one, if it's the next one. Oh, it's going to go there, is it? Okay. Not that next one. It's the other next one.
Worsey.
Yeah, the Worsey.
Yeah, Worsey.
Oh, yes.
As they say in the classics, you could do Worsey. Getting a City KF2 rack from Germany, 1980 vintage MIDI with expander and 2 extra sound cards. This thing was kind of like a madman's. I love saying that, don't I? Lately, madman's dream. It was kind of like general MIDI kind of. I don't know.
Yeah, before it was invented.
Yeah. Because it's just full of different synth voices, basically. Yeah. That's the. I could be wrong, but that's the gist of what I sort of got from reading about what these things do. It's kind of just a whole bunch of different synth voices that you can access via MIDI, tone banks, that sort of stuff. So,
well, interesting. JP Page 2's just put 1980 in MIDI. Well, if it's from 1980, it won't have MIDI. End of. So it's got to be from 1983 or later, and it certainly looks later.
Yeah, it's not 1980.
Those,
I think he means 80s.
Right, from the 1980s, right. Is it a fun like auto accompaniment thing? Yeah. Oh, yeah, rhythm sections and that. That's right.
Yeah.
So it's a sort of like auto accompaniment thing in a rack.
Yeah, it's like weird. A JV 1080. It's like one of those things, with all the different synth voices. Probably not as good, right?
I doubt it comes close to a JV 1080.
Look at the City KF2 rack logo. It's amazing. Love those 80s logos.
Slow. You can have a march. Oh, upper drawbars. Oh, organ stones. Clarinet.
We shall sit down and play with the Versi.
It's just weird, isn't it?
It is. There you go. It's a bit of patch banks and stuff. Disco beats. Bayon. Foxtrot.
Well, we all want the foxtrot, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
What the Bayon?
Hey, Ranzee, I sent you one I forgot to send you in the private chat. See if you like that one.
The VMix Call private chat?
Yeah, VMix chat.
Okie dokies. Let me just have a squeeze.
I had a couple I forgot to send you. This is a funny one.
Oh, okay. I did. Wow. Yeah, we should show that. That is actually cool. Yeah, we're going to show that.
So, yeah, it's got MIDI. It has to have done it. So, well, weird.
There you go.
Weird volume control on a DIN. No, it'd be standard DIN, won't it? 'Cause, no, that makes sense. Actually, we think about it.
Wow. Say that, Brooksy. Bedienungsanleitung.
Bedienungsanleitung. User guide.
Ah, okay.
User guide.
It's like one of those Jackie
You
Chan.
don't have to make it too
voiceover
complicated.
movies.
Birdie, Nungs, and Lytle. Easy. Jim's dead easy. Jim's easy.
It's easy when you've done it.
Just what I
When you've done the study.
Okay, that's true.
My boss is in German. He's always showing me Windows error messages in German. I'm like, what the hell does that say? It's a funny one.
Right, now, the only way for me to do this is to go price watch, bang, paste. I don't have a graphic for it. No. Okay. I'm just getting Andy's one that he's just shown us. Sorry, just shown me. I'm just getting that up on Reverb. We don't have a graphic for it, so we'll just go straight to Reverb. Hopefully it doesn't crash the computer. It's on the Mac. Shouldn't crash. Here we go. Last one.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, it's not the last one. It's second to last
Yeah,
one.
so it's Arthur Jolly. What? He's the Brazilian guy, isn't he?
Yeah.
Makes really interesting stuff. I hope he's still doing it. But
It's so handmade, isn't it?
116,000.
Yeah,
No,
half
that's
that.
make... Bloody hell, Andy, where did he find... Is that another Reverb one? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Reverb one.
Yeah.
Oh, it looks amazing. It's got an organelle put in it as well. Look, at the bottom.
Is that?
Yeah. But it's not wooden buttons. Don't want it.
That's not what I don't want.
No, he would have had it otherwise.
Oh,
Yeah, I would.
it
Yeah.
looks ace.
Yeah.
Oh, imagine the
Looks
lovely sound that
fantastic.
those keys would sound like when you're tapping away. Sound like an arcade
fantastic.
machine.
I don't know. I think that is a thing of beauty, though. End of story. It just looks ace. Everyone does have one of those in the
Sound
studio.
effects
You'd
ready?
put it in your front room, wouldn't you?
It's just
Put it on a
gorgeous.
shelf in your front room. It's great.
It's highlighted Australia for you as well, Rans. Look.
Yeah, this is what happens when you're playing it with headphones on. Sounds like this.
It's like MIDI fighter.
No, it's the Polyand tracker.
No, that is just a thing. What a thing. What a beautiful thing.
It's now facing Brazil. It's turned its back on Australia
Wow.
now.
Well, that's right. Well, it comes from Brazil, so
Yeah. There you go. Nice one, Andy. Nice one. Now, there was one more.
Yeah, they get
and this
weird
one
with
is actually for you, Mr. Andy. Because I know that you like this sort of stuff. As in synthetic Andy. Yeah, I'll just go straight to here. Stuff's thrown in the graphic. Here we go. It's currently unavailable because the guy's away.
I had a DD5.
The Yamaha DD15.
Nice. Hatch bay. That's cool.
Yeah.
and the patch bay on it. That's ace.
Let's have a look at the mod.
So that's been modded, hasn't it? Yeah, mod.
Yeah.
Patch
Circuit
bay
bit.
mod.
Yeah.
Bent.
Is it the patch bay that costs 300 and whatever it is, or the whole device?
Well, that's what I'm trying to work out. But that would be
These
so
the pads
handy.
are great. It's very colorful. Yeah, it's nice.
When you think about it, that'd actually be a pretty cool thing to have. Because you can
Yeah,
just...
definitely. Especially circuit bent.
Yeah.
Some
Actually,
of the sounds
really-
are pretty boring in those things. So.
Yeah, I really like that. Let me just read it, what he says here. Sorry, I should be sharing that with you guys. What are we doing? It is a rare. It's not that rare. 25 patch points. So it is the machine as well as, yeah. So it does say plus the patch point bay.
Yeah.
So it is both. That's a pretty good price. Where is it?
It's
Manchester.
decent, yeah.
Manchester. Darren, just down the street,
Man,
mate.
get it.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh. So it'll be cheaper.
Oh,
About
Yeah.
No,
150 quid.
yeah, it'd be cheaper. Just
So the patch bay affects the 100 tempo adjustable onboard rhythms and tracks, in addition to the pads and scraper to produce some great degraded digital effects and percussive hits. There you go. But somebody needs to make that, I reckon, or something like that, like a real cheap sort of 80s style pad type drum machine, just for us to sort of circuit band and muck around. It would be awesome.
Get some noisy nits or ebb
I'd
sounds.
really like a percussion controller, but they're all so expensive.
Yeah, like the Simmons and
Yeah.
Well,
Yamaha has a
the
4-pad
Roland
one.
in particular.
That's MIDI. That's it's pretty cheap usually. I have a couple of them. Don't have it.
All right.
But it's a little 4-pad guy, little square box. and has proper MIDI on it. You can find those pretty cheap.
The the hand sonic ones from Roland are also good too, but they're not quite the same as the tapping with the drumsticks. But the hand sonic ones, you can use MIDI to CV with those and trigger stuff, which is really, really cool. I should show you guys that. It's actually cool fun. I think haven't I done that? I've shown you guys that. Surely I've shown you guys that.
Dude,
Yeah.
did it on one show. Yeah.
Where you can sort of tap. You can tap the hand sonic
Weird
with your hand and it triggers stuff. Yeah, yeah. Cool. All right. Chatties.
Or D-Beam.
Yeah, D-Beam. Yeah. It had D-Beam on it. It does have D-Beam on it. And you can actually MIDI to CV the D-Beam as well, if you are that way inclined. Yeah, that's right. We did have Andy's Korg wave drum. It did sound miles better. That's because it wasn't me playing it. Yeah. Isn't that right, Wigoo?
And the A-frame sounds better than that with real bamboo wood.
Yeah. Now, we are going to talk about monitoring. People. Monitoring.
Cool.
Because it's been requested. I think it was Creative... what's his name?
Was it Chris Head? Lost for it.
Might have been Chris Head.
Can't remember now. I might be wrong about that.
It was Culture of Ghosts. Culture of Ghosts or Chris Head? One of the two. We'll give it to both.
Yeah, they both asked for it.
Now, I don't know. Who wants to kick it off? Because I mean, all I'm going to do is I'm just going to say something really, really basic, and that is what monitors I use. And at the moment, I'm actually not even using because they're not plugged in. But I want to show you what I use. And I can't play them because it's not going to give you any benefit by playing them through a microphone, and it'll just sound boomy. So what I've got the HS series, and I don't have the white ones. I've got the that actually annoyed me when Yamaha did that. But anyway, I've got the HS8s. They're the ones I've got, or HS8s if you want to call it that way. And they actually kind of, how would I describe it? Sonically, they're kind of very natural sounding. These aren't the best monitors in the world, and they're not the worst. So they're probably relatively good bang for buck, but you're definitely not the cheapest that you'll find. It's a typical sort of Yamaha sort of price range product. Anyway, what I like about them is they don't have a bass response, a very big bass response in the actual monitors themselves. They're quite bassless in that sense. They do, it's a little bit, but it's not like a boomy sort of bassy sounding monitor. But if you do want the bass sound, you can there's a subwoofer add-on for these, and that sounds incredible. So I've got the subwoofer as well. But there you go. There's the specs on it. They've got an 8-inch cone woofer and a 1-dome tweeter, so it's just a 2-speaker jobber. The bass reflex, like I said before, it's kind of a natural sounding bass. It's not like a doof or sort of boomy sounding thing. It's quite natural. So if you've got a kick, like an old sort of typical kick drum from a drum kit, a standard sort of drum kit, it'll sound like a kick drum should sound, which is what I like. And if you put the sub with it, you'll get the sub harmonic boom tail on that kick drum sort of floating afterwards without it sort of mudding it up. Does that make sense? Because it's a different speaker. They have built-in power and amplifiers in the back. I don't know if it's going to show us. It shows the subwoofer there. But in the back, it's got its own built-in power and amplifier, and it connects up with those XLR type cables at the back. So they're a bit of a pain. I'm not going to give them a massive, huge power on the back. They're a bit of a pain. They're very heavy. They're massively heavy.
How much? What do they reach on that?
Be hard to tell you because it's like going to be in Australian dollars.
Yeah, but we'll just double it. I could look actually, couldn't I? I think I used to own
$489, so £250 maybe, somewhere around there.
Oh, right, okay.
200, 250.
was going to say I had a HS5.
That's for one. That's
yeah. Do they sell them individually? Because
so you can buy them individually, or you can buy them in pairs, or you can buy them.
You can set them up as a 5-channel system, and I mean, I ended up with one of them when we had the shop, and I thought it sounded. It was a good sounding speaker, you know. Now I'm the guy that really doesn't like NS10s and never did like NS10s.
Yeah, right.
And I sort of half expected them to sound a bit like NS10s, but they didn't to me.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know.
So just wrapping this up with me, because mine, like I said, mine is very, very basic, and so I've talked about these probably a few years ago when we had another monitoring type show on a few years back. Darren, you would have remembered it. When I'm talking about using these, so for example, if I'm recording an album and then I've finished doing all my recording and I'm kind of in the the tidying up mixing / semi mastering stage, right? Just sort of getting everything sort of fitting in the mix properly. That's when I use these, and so I use these with the sub on, with the sub off. I use these and I put them in different parts of the room, so I get different sort of sonic effects with it. And then I'll use different headphones. Then I'll play the music in the car. Then I'll play the music on a crappy Bluetooth speaker that I've got, a Sony Bluetooth. So this is kind of, talking about monitoring, this is kind of just part of the total monitoring that I do. But to be fair, this is probably the most important part, the Yamaha monitoring part, because if it doesn't sound good on them, it'll never sound good on anything. That's kind of where I find it goes.
Yeah.
So if you've got your mix wrong, if you've got too loud a kick, or you've got too much muddiness in your bass lines, your bass mixes, this will bring it out, which is one of the things I like about it. It's kind of, it's unforgiving, but it's helpful in that way. That's it from me. Ooh, so helpful, aren't I?
Shall I go next then? Because I'm going to switch. I'm going to show you this side of the room. Okay.
Yes.
I'll have to disconnect for about 10 seconds, guys. So bear with me while I change to my phone. And
he's frozen in time, everybody. There he's
back. Okay. So these are my main monitors. These are a pair of Akai System 8s. I've had them probably about 15 years, bought them secondhand. They never had the Tannoy logo. They never had the grills. I'm really used to them. They're quite a brightish speaker, but they've got what I consider to be good bass. Now this is a very small room, so they don't get turned up loud, and they will go loud. They're passive. All my speakers that I monitor with are passive. I have got a pair of active speakers up there. Is that?
Yep.
Yeah. They are a pair of Edirol.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
They're just, I actually don't like them. I would never monitor on them. They're active, and they are just used as, if I'm jamming or something like that, so that I can listen to synths in the room. That's all they're there for. So you'll see there's another pair by the side of them. They are, I always call them my secret weapon, really. They are a pair of Acoustic Research AR-18s.
Oh, I love Acoustic Research speakers.
Yeah. Now,
I used to sell them in the 80s.
Yeah, me too. That's how I knew about them. And if there were NS10s in studios, I don't know anywhere else in the world, but certainly here in the UK, if they didn't have NS10s, they had a pair of AR-18s. And they have to be the S version, because they're the ones with the simple crossover.
Yes.
Now, what happens is, because these are from early 80s, late 70s, early 80s, the company was called Teledyne at the time. These have been reconed. They were reconed before I bought them.
New drivers, right.
Yeah.
Yep.
What used to be able to happen is you used to be able to buy them for £100. You can't anymore, sadly. People have got wise to it. They're currently going on eBay for about £300 to £500 a pair, which really surprised me. They're different to the System 8s, but they're a good all-round speaker. They're just a hi-fi bookshelf speaker, really,
yeah.
and they are sat on a bookshelf. You can't see it, but the System 8s are stood on incredibly heavy, solid metal stands.
Yeah.
And they benefit from a decent stand.
It's good that you brought stands up.
I'm working with how much space I've got more than anything else, really. There is another set of speakers in here. Well, there's two more, but there's in there, back there somewhere, are a pair of just literally computer monitors, which things do get listened to, but as a last resort, these are a pair of. They don't need to be a pair, but they're a pair of Avatone mix cubes. Now, they are based on the Oratones 5Cs, which I've bought them probably again about 12, 15 years ago. I couldn't buy a single one. You only need one because you only listen to in mono. Yeah, that's why they're sat together. So they're put into mono, and I listen to final mixes on them. And like you with that's my check monitor really. If something leaps out or I can't hear it in there, and the only problem with them is if you listen to for long periods of time, you get used to them and you start to think they're all right. But
they're kind of mid-rangey, aren't they?
Yeah, they're very mid-rangey. Yeah.
That's what I do with my Bluetooth speaker. So that's the mid-rangey thing. But the reason why we do it is, and correct me if I'm wrong, is because if you've got your mix wrong, you won't hear some of the elements of your music in it.
Exactly. That's exactly it. Yeah. It's all through just a very simple sort of switching unit here, which is I could have 4 sets of speakers wired up, but I've only got 3. Yep. They're powered by a 70-watt TIAC, which is Tascam hi-fi amplifier.
I love the TIAC stuff in the old days. Yeah. Is that an old one? Is that like a...
it is. It's probably from late 90s, I think, maybe early 2000s. Again, I bought that second. I can't remember how much I paid for that really, but it does the job. The good thing about it is it's possible to see it. I'm going to have to move away from the mic. There's a button. That button down there cuts out all of the tone effects.
Right.
So I use the amp completely flat. I never put any treble or bass on.
Yeah. That's awesome having that.
And so if you're going to use a high
flat EQ direct sound,
exactly.
Yeah.
If it ever goes wrong, I've got an even older TIAC. I'll switch back now. I think that's everything. Unless anybody wants to see anything else. Nothing else in here that we're bothered about. There's we've got the obligatory lamp.
Can I just bring up while you're switching back? Can I just bring up a couple of points? So switch back and you'll hear me on the flip side.
Yeah.
The acoustic research speakers that you had, right? Just wait 1 sec. Now you're back in?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So the acoustic research speakers that you've got, hang on, let me see if I can bring you into here. Hey, look at that. Cool. So I've got a pair of Morn shorts, and they're UK Morn shorts. They're not the Korean or Chinese or whatever they were, but they started making them later on.
British-made ones, yeah.
Yeah, and it was going to be a choice between the Acoustic Research Series S or the Morn shorts, and for the exact same reason that you probably would have bought yours back in the day. And I use those... they're kind of like my listening speakers that I would use for my old, I've got an old Technics 19-inch, hi-fi system, and they're all connected up through a Yamaha amp. And the Yamaha amp, like your TIAC amp, has the direct sound, EQ bypass, all that sort of stuff, which is that's an amazing thing to do. And I actually find that Ian, you can comment on this after, but if you listen to your music through that on some sort of media, so if you burn it to a CD and you play it on your CD player type thing, and then you listen it through the older sort of style of hi-fi gear, it sounds different to what it sounds like on your studio monitors. And
definitely, yeah.
And I think it's definitely worth doing that. It might be a bit painful to do it, if it takes you another hour or whatever, but it's definitely worth doing it.
It is. I mean, actually upstairs, because this is the ground floor, the studio's on the ground floor, and then we basically live upstairs. Upstairs in our lounge, I have a hi-fi system. I have it's a Yamaha surround sound amp and a pair of. They're based on the acoustic. I was a massive fan of acoustic research. Pity the company went bust, really. But there was their chief designer for quite a few years was a guy called Roy Allison, and I've got. And I used to sell back in the late 80s, early 90s. I used to sell acoustic research when they were about, and I used to sell Allison speakers as well. I have a pair of Allison Cube speakers about this sort of size, sort of thing, really, on stands. Incredibly well detailed speaker, and I like you say, luckily I can do it on a memory stick. I can take a memory stick up to this, stick it in the amp, and just listen to it on stereo. And actually, what's really interesting is when I listen to commercial albums on that system, some of them are terrible.
The new streaming stuff, yeah.
So I mean, I have reference albums. I mean, Talk would always be one of my reference albums. The later experimental albums, which were recorded live, as much as live as possible. But you can hear things in those rooms that they were recording in. It was Wessex Studios just outside of London. You can hear things in the room, and classical records. Some of the early classical records, you can do the same. Now, a lot of, but I would always compare to that album. Those albums, really. Actually, Pink Floyd's a good example. Sometimes I would use Pink Floyd. We were talking not Dark Side of the Moon. Before the show, we were talking about some Pink Floyd stuff, but some of the later Pink Floyd stuff. That what was the album we were talking about? Wish You Were Here.
Cut. Wish You Were Here. Yeah.
No, Wish You Were Here. I don't think Final Cut. Final Cut's a bit strange because there was an experiment with some sort of weird surround sound with it, so in stereo it doesn't sound as good as it could. There was some sort of binaural effect put on that recording, which didn't transfer very well on my CD copy anyway. But yeah, it's always good to play it on a regular hi-fi system, your mixes, and I do. I in the past I have burnt a CD off, and actually I used to put it in the car when I had a CD player in the car. Now I can just stream it from my phone. Playing stuff in a car is brilliant because it goes back forever. But a metal box traveling along at 30 miles an hour is the worst place to listen to music.
Absolutely.
But you'll learn things listening to your mixes. And it's usually if I'm driving to York or back or somewhere where I'm doing a few miles. So I've got time to listen to 2 or 3 tracks of an album, how they're actually working together. All of that stuff works, and I'll stop and make notes, and then go back and tweak the mixes.
Yeah, and so there was another point that you made, which I'm gonna bring up with you again.
Sorry, just before you go on, can I just ask you about which modern shorts you chose? Do you know which model they were?
Oh, I just go and have a look. I can't think of them off the top of my head. They're upstairs.
Yeah. We'll talk about it. Let us know later. Cause,
I might have.
Because I used to sell modern shorts as well. Yeah,
they might be mentioned on the previous stream that we did. But I can let you know later. Okay, so the other thing that you talked about was putting your monitors on a proper speaker stand. Yeah. And I forgot to mention that too. So I put my HS8s on a speaker stand, and the reason why I do it is because they sound acoustically different than if you were to put them on a floor or put them on a desk or put them on something like your bench or whatever. So I'm just, maybe if you want to talk about that, like what's the benefit of putting them on?
I can't remember what make they are actually. I can't actually see the bottom of them. So they're a metal stand. Now the problem with metal speaker stands, if they're hollow, is they've got quite a high Q factor, and that will affect the speaker unless it's isolated in some way from the speaker. So My speaker stands, normally they would be on spikes if they're on a carpet. They're not, because I've got a solid concrete floor in here, so it's quite okay to just sit them on the floor. But and spikes don't cost very much. Don't pay if you're going to use spikes. Just use buy a cheapest set of spikes.
Yeah.
My stands are actually filled with sand as well, so they're a heavy stand to start off with. The filling there's a hole in the top where you can literally just pour sand in them. Yeah, and that obviously lowers the Q factor of the speaker stand. So the part of it is to get air moving around. They are actual 4 columns, I think, or 3 columns. I'm looking. Actually, I can look at them now. There's one thick column at the front and 2 thinner columns at the back. I think the 2 thinner columns I couldn't fill. The centre column I have filled.
Yeah.
So part of it is you want a stand that's solid, low Q factor, but also you want to get air, if possible, moving underneath the speaker with it being really rigid. And that's why you sometimes see metal stands which are 4 poles, really. 4 poles and a two top and bottom plate on spikes, Yep. But mass helps, something that's heavy helps, really.
Yeah. So on the top
if you
of
can't
mine, afford
speaker stands, bricks.
Yeah. But on the top of mine, I've got a bit of foam that it's acoustic treated foam. Not just you could probably use any foam, but I specifically went and got an acoustic treated foam. Yeah. And the actual stand themselves have got like a rubber pad on the top of the metal part anyway, and you lift that off, and that's where you pour your sand in. And down the bottom, the spikes are either you just screw them in; they're just threaded spikes, so you can take them off. Yeah. So I put the pads on because I felt, in a way, I mean, my HS8s are really heavy, so it kind of suspended them a bit better on top of the stands. Yeah. And so when you do get those sort of acoustic sort of frequency vibrations from the speaker itself, it doesn't translate into that Q factor into your stand. Even though you might have sand and everything, it's still going to vibrate all the way down. Yeah. So that pad, the foam pad, if you can, I strongly recommend getting one for you. Yeah. And you can get them in all good music stores.
Yeah, you can. Your speakers don't want to move when they're actually. I mean, especially if you're playing it loud. I mean, like I say, in here, there's nowhere really for them to go because there's not enough space. But you certainly don't. If you're turning the music up and it's a bigger room, and you're having to fill the room, and you're sat in the center of where your mirror point is really. Yeah. Then the louder it's going to be, the more the speaker and the stand will start to move to some extent. So you want to reduce that as much as possible and sort of keep them, as rigid as possible. The other thing that's worth mentioning is I don't like rear-ported speakers. These System 8s are front-ported. Ideally, I would prefer a sealed box construction. But front-ported speakers, for me, work better. If you have a rear-ported speaker, you need some space behind the speaker because, the bass is going to come through the port. And I always feel it sounds a bit boomy. I can never get them to sound how I would really like them to sound on a rear-ported speaker. So I was never really a fan of that type of speaker design. You could argue that all speaker boxes are wrong, really. A wooden box. I don't know. I think we're just touching I don't quite know what the System 8s are made of. I would have said part of them are wood, but the front doesn't feel very wood-like. It feels almost metal, but I'm not quite sure. But they're like your Yamahas. They're incredibly heavy.
Awesome.
Quiet.
Yeah. No, I was just doing something. Right. Fantastic. Thank you very much, Ian. That was awesome. One more thing before we go to the next people. When you're listening in your car, I don't know if you do this, but I do it. I turn the volume right down to on your car stereo. If you can get your volume to the point where, do you know when you've got someone in the car with you, but you still want to have music in the background, but you don't want it to ruin conversation? So that volume level is what we're trying to aim for. And you don't need to have someone in the car with you and have a conversation.
No, it's quite nice.
But you want that volume level, and then you need to then drive around or park somewhere and listen to it at that volume level, and it does actually treat the way you've mixed and monitored your music in a different way. And the reason why I do it is because you get different, you hear different things in your mix at the low volumes. And what you'll hear is you'll hear the big, like, compressed things that probably have been over compressed, or you'll hear the big dynamics that you probably shouldn't have in certain elements. Like maybe you've got a noise filter sweep from a synth, right? And you've let that one go a bit too high, something like that.
Yeah, and don't just do it once. Do it several. I mean, literally, if I've finished a project or finished the mix, and it's usually I'll have the mix of the whole album by that time, and I'll start to. I mean, I'll spend 2 weeks running around in the car listening to it, and at low, at different volumes, but predominantly, if Jane's in the car, we're probably talking, and I would probably have it at, as background music anyway. And it's good to listen to your stuff as background music, because sometimes people will be doing that, and then if I'm on my own, I'm concentrating more on actually what I'm listening to and making sure that the thing I thought was wrong at track 3 a minute in is still really wrong, because you can get, I do believe that first listens are important. The first thing you pick up on something, but I would then go back. I'd maybe leave it a few days and listen to some other tracks and come back to it and think, well, hang on a minute, that bit I thought was a problem, is it still a problem? And having multiple listens of this sort of stuff, and again, not just in cars, but all over the place. Like you say, listen to it stick it on your phone and listen to it on earbuds. Do that a lot as well.
Definitely.
I tend to do that late at night, because I'll put. Last thing I do before I go to bed is I will read for half an hour or so, and I always put some music on, and I don't like listen to vocal music that last thing at night. So if I'm working on a mix, I would then put whatever I'm working on in the background just while I'm reading, because then I would pick up on things that were wrong.
Yeah, the distractions. Yep.
Yeah.
You note down the distractions. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes you want the distractions, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Right. Who else wants to chime in? Hands up if you want to chime in on your monitoring experience.
I'll chime in.
Yeah, Brooksy.
I haven't got a clue about any of it. if I'm honest, apart from the fact that this room that I'm in here is a cube and is untreated, and it doesn't sound great, but I've tried different monitors. I could go through my monitor history if you don't mind me picking things up off the floor. I've had to dust them down a bit. The first pair of actually proper studio monitors that I got was a pair of Spirit Absolute 2s back in the 90s, which are passive, as Ian said. Just give us a sec. Oh, bloody great big things these are.
Yeah.
So I've got Bonehead. So me Absolute 2s. I've still got them. I've still got the pair. They probably need new tweeters in them, but I'm not sure if you can get the tweeters anymore. But these were a decent pair of speakers. I powered them from a Cambridge Audio 50-watt amp, and they were nice. They did the job for ages, and then of course I got out of doing music, and I decided I needed some new Well, no, I bought a pair of active monitors because I wanted something a bit better. So I bought these. One sec.
I was just going to ask Andy if the tweeters were blown, but I'll ask him when he's put his headphones back on.
Sorry, Ian, what did he say?
I was just going to say, are the tweeters actually blown on that other pair of speakers?
I don't know.
Do they actually still work?
Why them? They haven't been on for a long time. I mean, seriously, and I don't have an amp in here to wire them up. Right. I might actually give them a try again.
Because if they're not blown, they'll be fine. They'll want burning in again to some extent because they haven't been used for a long time. So the voice coil will need to be moved. but you'll soon know.
I mean,
yeah,
give it some sibilance.
The thing to do is turn on an amp, turn the treble right up, the bass right down, and obviously then just listen to the tweeter as much as you can.
Yeah,
and you'll know whether all the frequencies are there or not.
Worth trying. I mean, I just haven't done like I said, for so long. And then I replaced them with these, which are actually really, really lovely. Okay, that's a pair of Roland DS5s, active monitor, which I bought, and these sound really, really great. These are front ported. They've got obviously the amp built in, the power switch on the front, which is where it should be on all active speakers. Why you have to reach around the back to switch things on does nothing.
Oh yeah.
The problem with these is grace. Grace is the problem with these. When I was sort of getting back into it all and was rewiring and checking things out, we were testing stuff and checking the old Mackie mixer. Well, Grace managed to literally blow one of these up. Basically, there were the flames coming out the back of it. it got somehow my Mackie. I'm not really blaming Grace, to be honest. I'm not blaming Grace. I'm not. The Mackie was obviously not in a good state of repair and shot a massive electrical spike up the back of it, and obviously blew the amp. And honestly, literally, there were flames coming out of it. It was. We tried to do all sorts to rescue the speaker, but the speaker's dead. This one actually is still working and fine, but the other one is very dead. And I'd love another one. I've looked to try and get hold of another DS5 speaker, but I've never found one anywhere. So if anybody's got a spare DS5 speaker out there that they want to donate to a loving home, that would be here. And then the current setup, I'll move my cam so you can see it. Is a pair of these M Audio, which I bought to replace the MS5s because I did. They're the BX5 from M Audio, and they're again 5-inch cones. They're rear ported, which isn't that great. I agree with Ian on that. They sound a bit boomy. They're not the greatest sounding speakers in the world, to be honest. But in this room, they're fine. They're actually okay, and I've sort of got used to them now. A bit like Ian was saying, that they're mounted on stands. Unfortunately, some good advice there, Ian. I haven't filled the stands with anything. Right. That hollow tube could actually be filled, which I might actually go away and do. So that's what I currently use, and they're not very loud. They don't need to be loud in this room anyway. So, but they're doing the job now. I mean, I'm planning eventually to replace these with a pair of better monitors. If I can find another DS5 monitor, I'd be happy to get one of those. But I'm thinking about a pair of Adams, the TV5, I think. But anyway, that's me at the minute, and yeah. I'll stick that back on there.
If you can get
the camera lives on top of the speaker.
So I think you can get DS5s still on eBay.
Ooh.
Yeah, I've just seen a pair for £200.
So these are only $220 US, but you'll have to ship these from North Carolina.
Yeah, I'd have to have a look around it. Well, I might actually have a look, but I only need one. If I'm going to buy a new pair of speakers, I might as well buy a new pair of speakers, haven't I?
Yeah, true. Yeah,
they do pop up on Reverb too, but Reverb's obviously a little bit more pricey, I find. So you're probably better off looking at your Gumtree type place that you've got over there. To be fair,
we should talk about about headphones, but let's do that afterwards. Let's see what everybody else says.
We probably won't have time to do headphones.
All right.
Seriously.
Okay.
Yeah. We can do headphones another time. We actually have done headphones before as well. Yeah. Monitoring is headphone. It's definitely part. I understand, but I think headphones is actually a show in its own right.
In its own right.
Absolutely, it's a huge topic. Yeah. We're all wearing different headphones right now, all of us, and for different reasons, right? So, yep. Darren, you've got some monitors there. We've talked about yours a few times.
Yes. Right. My my monitor history. Well, I have a pair of Modern Shorts MS-10s back from the mid-90s. Yeah, but mid-90s. And they can run on either my NAD amplifier or I think I've got a Sherwood amplifier as well, but usually on the NAD. So it's usually the NAD and the MS-10s, Modern Shorts. But they're in the other room. I've not brought them in here. So I used to monitor quite a lot on KIKs until someone destroyed them. And I've not had a chance to get any since. I've got a pair of Presonus, little small, I think they're 2.5-inch or 3-inch speakers, but they're just they are literally just like you say for listening to music in the background. It's only a small room, and obviously when you've got neighbours, you can't really boom music out anyway. So obviously I monitor a lot on headphones now. I was going to get some probably focal shape or something like that, or Adams, but I'm not saving up again. I'm not saved up for anything like that yet. Then I used the car a lot, like you say, just to check whether it sounds all right, until my car stereo now recently decides that it likes to switch on and off every 15 seconds. So I can't. So it basically reboots itself every 15 seconds. So I cannot now listen to the stuff in the car to check what it's running on. So iPad, I use the iPad a lot, and like I say, different types of headphones, whether they're in earbuds, some really crappy sort of like over the headphones that I know are really bassy, and then obviously my Biodynamic Pro 900s semi-open backed headphones. So that's my sort of history in monitoring, because I've still not got my monitors that I was originally saving up for some focals or Adams, something like that. I hadn't decided on which. I was going for the focal shape at one point because they were quite nice. They were a different design. I like the way they had the ports on the side as well, with the sort of look like extra speakers on the side, which is quite cool. But yeah, most of the time I've had KIKs, and I think it's basically getting used to your speakers that you do have, and then listening to it on different other speakers, and then or you've got a good idea of what your speakers are doing, whether they're good or bad.
Yeah.
The room's treated to a degree, and it's only a small room, so there's no point in having huge speakers in here anyway, because one, I can't play it loud, and two, with it being so small, I'd have to be right over there for a decent place to listen to them.
Yeah.
If I have a pair of 5 to 5.5-inch speakers, it's probably about as the biggest I could go. Where I'm sat now is about the perfect spot.
Yeah.
So, okay, I don't get the really low down bass as if you had a sub or anything like that. But like I say, I can't play that sort of stuff that loud anyway. Or in this room, it'd just be pointless. So, I say, all the speakers you own or whatever, you just got to get used to your speakers. As soon as you buy some speakers anyway, you've got to get used to them, because it's same with headphones. It takes you a while to listen to loads and loads of music constantly, your own stuff as well as other stuff, just to get used to that, whether it's a speaker or headphones, so that you know what they sound like. So even though they might not be good and you're mixing and it sounds, when something sounds bad on your speakers, what it'll sound like on a car stereo if it'd work, which mine doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll keep it short on that, because like I say,
fair enough,
my monitoring's gone downhill. I'm saving up for so much stuff now.
Yeah.
So
do the purge,
and then as I say, when I listen to it in the car, the flipping stereo on does a flipping auto restart every 15 seconds. So I don't even get a chance to listen to it badly in there.
Yeah. I was gonna mention one other thing. We'll go to Andy Synthetic in a sec. One other thing that I've not always done, but I think it's a good idea, and I just remember the last album I did it with was not the previous album I've just released, but the one before, called Link, and I took the CD, Well, did I take the CD or I took my phone? I think I took my phone into a music shop that had a whole bunch of different studio monitors in there, and I just played a couple of tracks. And must have been such a pain to the guy that worked there, but I played a couple of tracks through different speakers. There were Adams there were some cheap KRKs, there was a whole bunch of different, speakers. And I got an impression that the music has got to be able to sort of, in a way, chameleonize itself across different speakers. It's got to be able to sort of fit, not perfect on every single speaker, but it's got to be able to sort of work in 90% of situations. Does that make sense? So what I learnt, particularly when I was doing, because these were just wave files sitting on my phone, and I hadn't quite finished setting up the album as for public downloads at stage. I thought, there was one track I thought, I need to fix that, and because it just didn't sound good on some of the other speakers, especially like some of the high end monitors that you buy. So
I would say that if you're going to buy monitors, don't go and listen to them. You have to go and, because when I worked in hi-fi, that's exactly what people would do. They would bring their CDs or their vinyl in, and listen to different sets of speakers. If you're spending, because you're spending a reasonable amount of money buying a pair of monitors, and listening to, we're going to go to Gear Fest in July here, and there'll be monitor companies there, and that's probably the worst place to listen to monitors, is a show where there's somebody in the next room.
Yep.
It's a bit like NAMM, isn't it? Trying to demonstrate. So but you need to go into a dealer and a music store, and if they don't want to let you listen to them, just don't buy them from them.
Yeah. Well, if you can, go to a shop that has a listening room.
Yeah.
So like the old hi-fi stores used to, right? They actually had listening rooms that were soundproofed, and when you went in there, you didn't get the noise of the shop. There were other distractions at the same time, and and the people that work there, they have to be patient with you. They have to understand that you might not buy today. You might just be doing your market research. So they can't get like,
it's funny,
annoyed,
because we haven't mentioned about whether monitors make your ears tired. The only monitors that actually and this is because I've spent hours and hours in studios, is Genelecs. I find most Genelec models in studios really tiring after about 40 minutes.
Wow. And
I've had to walk out and go for a walk somewhere and just rest my ears. There's one model, I can't remember what they were, that I used quite a lot when I was doing some work at York University, and they had a massive pair of Genelecs. They were different to all the rest of the range that I'd listened to. But most of the ones certainly all the ones that I've listened to in studios, I've not been impressed by. I've
always thought that Genelecs sound very, I don't know. I'm going to say a word and it's probably not the right one. Tinny? I don't know. Just I find
they are bright. They are bright.
Like it's just almost too sharp. Might be too sharp sounding.
Yeah, and that's maybe why I was finding them really tiring, and I literally would have to, I leave the rest of the guys to listen to whatever was going on, and I'd have to go somewhere else because I just got so tired listening to. And it was clearly the speakers, not the music.
Yep. All right, I've got to wrap up the show very quickly. We've got a couple of minutes left, but I do want to get Andy. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a funny topic because considering years of been playing with all this crap and spending money on all this gear, you would think I'd have these amazing speaker stories. I really don't. Basically, you see KRKs in the corner there, not on proper stands. One's over there on a cardboard box. One's over there on some other on top of this rack system here on a piece of foam. Because unfortunately, even though I have better isolation now, I still have neighbors. I can't have a sub. I can't have bass too loud. That's always been a problem. I had to move so many times over the years, and never had a sub. Didn't have a sub from my Dolby Pro Logic video system for watching movies. I didn't have a sub for here. I didn't have a sub for lots of stuff because I just couldn't have it where it'd piss off all the neighbors, like Darren was saying. So I never invested in too many crazy loudspeakers. And I never did. I mean, I've done these EMOMs and stuff, but I never did a proper live setup of my own stuff where I had to have all of my own speakers. So I never invested in a proper, we had a nice system when I worked at Nikon for a while. We had a really nice PV fold-out system that was like in a real little case, and it would all come out and have stands and stuff. And I was having fun setting that up for live events, and man, I should get something like this. These are pretty cool, but I never had a need for it because I was always doing stuff here or at a friend's house, but never out in the public. So those are awful loud for a studio situation. So I got by with like stereo speakers, like a hi-fi system for a while, the high quality like PC speakers for a while, and then finally got these KRKs because a friend got them, didn't want them, and I got them really cheap. But ideally, this is the weakest link. I'm going to spend all this money on synths and samplers and drum machines and all this other stuff. I should be buying better. Like, I have good mixers, but the weakest link is definitely the speakers, because right now this is all I have of these KRKs and a couple pairs of headphones that I jump between here and there. And I do most of my stuff in headphones anyway.
Best friend.
Yeah, I do most of my stuff headphones anyway, because I'll often do like those hardware jam stuff in my girlfriend's place, and I can't wake her up with speakers in the place. So I'm doing most of this in headphones at night anyway. So that's kind of the rundown of it. I did go to a demo at Synthplex of a Dolby Atmos system where they did a surround sound mix of Devo's Whip It, and it was phenomenal. I mean, I was like, wow, this is really, really cool. So if I had the space and the money, I would get one of those, I think it's 10 speakers, maybe 12 speakers, Atmos systems, where you have the ones around you and then have the ones above you, like a little bit of a halo.
Yeah.
That would be the ultimate, I think. Not that I need it for typical stereo stuff, but as another option, for things and just better quality speakers in general. Because these are only, I think, 5s, KRK 5s. So they're bassy enough. They're kind of like the Beats headphones, where they're kind of overly bassy. That's why I don't buy Beats headphones, because they're geared toward hip hop users and stuff.
Yeah.
So the bass is just too much in your face. It's not good.
That's why I didn't get them.
And these are a little bit like that. Not as bad. They're obviously not flat, and obviously not highest quality. But they serve me pretty well, and I run a lot of crazy stuff through them, and they'll growl when they need to. On some nice bassy synth patches, but they're certainly not hi-fi like, oh, these are amazing reference monitors,
Yeah,
but I get by with it. Eventually I'll get some
KRKs. Make sure you don't get, if you've got KRKs, make sure you don't get any purple visitors in there, because they'll just wreck them.
You gotta change the color of the yellow cone to purple. That's probably what he's trying to do.
Yeah,
he's offended by the yellow.
Probably was. It almost went purple when we went anyway.
Yeah, just get a blue texture. It'll be fine. One of the interesting things that you said there, Andy, was Devo's Whip It, right?
Yeah.
That, I don't know if you guys remember, the bass line in that song has some really quite, cool properties acoustically. Whenever you listen to that song, it has some really nice vibrations, the bass line itself. And it's kind of one of those bass lines that is very recognizable. But I think it's just the synth that they used, and the particular notes and the frequencies.
I think it's a Jupiter 8.
Yeah, it just really resonates nicely. It's got good. It's not a Beach Boys reference. It's got a good vibration sort of element to the frequencies of the notes, and I'm not surprised by what you said before about putting that into some sort of weird surround sound setup. It was
cool, and the whips are going here and here, and
yeah,
it's fun.
Yeah, that would have been so cool. We've got to wrap up because it's time, but we probably should do headphones as a separate show, and we probably should do the mixing side of monitoring as a separate show. But when I'm talking about mixing in monitoring, I'm not talking about mixing in general. So that's completely two separate subjects. But on your mixing desks, there are monitoring elements to it, and that's actually probably an element of monitoring that a lot of people, should learn about if they're not using that in their mixes properly. Because most of us have all got mixing desks, right? And there's monitoring in them. There's literally, if you've got a decent mixing desk, it'll have a monitor out, for example, on it. Do you monitor via your monitoring out on your mixing desk? Is something that I do, but I don't know if everyone does. So,
one funny thing about the Whip It thing I was talking about, the Tonto guys. There's Malcolm Cecil, and there's the other guy. I always forget the other guy's damn name.
Mark?
Yeah, Tonto, the expanding headband. Yeah. So the Malcolm died, but the other guy, it's terrible, I forgot his name, but he was all over Synthplex doing a bunch of demos and talks, and he was the one supervising the Atmos Whippet mix.
Are you talking about the Devo guys or the Tonto guys?
No, the Tonto.
No, the Tonto guys.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the second part of Tonto, I forgot his name, but he's a really cool guy walking around talking to a bunch of people. But he was supervising the Whippet mix. He's way into Atmos now. He went from Tonto to Atmos.
Bob Magulov, is that he?
Mario, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Funny guy.
Yeah. I thought you were talking about Mark. What's his last name? Malsberg.
Mark Mothersbaugh. No,
Mothersbaugh,
yeah. He wouldn't touch that stuff anymore. He's into other things.
He's into circuit bending.
He's
been.
But he's also a big composer. I mean, starting with Pee Wee's Playhouse and a bunch of other stuff. He's been a composer for a long time for soundtracks.
Well, he works for TV studios, so he does he did the whole the music sort of helped with the music production of Yo Gabba Gabba, which is a children's show in the US.
Yeah, he also has Mutato Music, which does sample libraries and instruments and stuff. They had a really cool app for a while on the iPhone. Yeah,
very, very, very talented man. Very talented man.
Yeah,
and the fact that he was with Devo was probably why people recognize him, right? But that's probably not his greatest work, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's funny because now Gerald Casal is on the tour. He was at Synthplex doing a talk. And I talked to him briefly at the end about the old days of Devo, and there's a very enlightening conversation.
Yeah. Oh, the stories about what they did and why they did the things that they did.
They lived through Kent State. I mean, the guys getting killed right in front of them made them write some of those songs because they watched kids get killed right in front of them.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. Look, the political bands of the 70s and 80s. Australia's got some great ones as well, like Midnight Oil. Go listen to the lyrics of some of those. What's happened? Everyone has paused. Nope, it's back.
We're
what
back.
happened then? Wow.
It's back.
It's because I said I love Midnight Oil.
Oh, yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Well, I'm burning the Midnight Oil right now,
Yeah.
let me tell you. So, look, I before this thing crashes, because I think that was probably a sign for me to sort of finish up.
Yeah. Beds are burning. That's
the beds are burning. Excellent conversation, guys, about monitoring. Hopefully that's wet your whistle in chat. Is that what you're after? Did we cover it? Did we not cover it? Let us know. Do put a comment in when you watch this video on its replay. Do put a comment down below, because a lot of people do watch this live stream later on. I noticed it's probably 25% watch it live and then the rest don't. So if you're watching this non-live, put a comment below. Let us know what you want to see on the show, and we will endeavor to try our best to not do that for you. No, just kidding. Anyway, lads, go check out Darren's new album on Bandcamp. The link was posted before.
The Life We Live.
Even
if it's just for you, just to listen to and just think about what's happening and where it is. Very thoughtful.
This
even
week,
if the mix is crap. After all we were talking about,
the mix won't be crap. Knowing you,
No,
this week Ian there'll be a blog article about Ian's streaming service on my website, which I'm
Thank you very much,
gonna get that up, and also everything to do with the show. If you ever wonder, why's my mouse missing? It always misses. If you ever wonder, it's just ranzee.com. There it is there. And you can find anything you like about the show over here. The Synth Geekery episode 201 will become public within about 12 hours when I finish editing it. So all the links, all the videos, everything that we talked about, prices, all that sort of stuff, products, all the price watch stuff, all the funny side memes will be on there. So you can go check that out as well. It's all free, just like this stream was. So, and I didn't say thank you to, I think it was, who was it that popped a little few dollars through before. Whoever it was, I think it was David. Thank you very much for that. All of that little bit counts. My new fiber connection costs more than what the other internet connection costs, so it all helps. Brooksy, I'm glad to see you back. We missed you, mate, and also your input. So yeah, it's nice having you. And also, Andy, now that you get an extra hour's sleep, you're much more lively.
Yeah, kind of nice. Hey, quick plug while I'm thinking about it.
I'm just kidding.
I just put it in the chat if it works here. No, it's too long. Damn it. It's a Facebook link. If you can fix this, I'll put in the stream of the vMix chat. If you could maybe post that, a short link. It's a Hardware Jams compilation that Andy Grace is on. I'm on.
Of course.
Oh yeah. And you.
It'd be nice to put that. It's a SoundCloud. I mean, I'm sorry. It's a Bandcamp thing.
Bandcamp. Yeah.
And
Inky's on there as well.
On it.
Yeah, should have mentioned that. So I forgot. You know, loads of hardware jammers have contributed a track. There's about 30 tracks on this album. So yeah, you can go and have a listen to them.
Nice.
There's some great tunes, really great tunes on there.
Brilliant.
Right, everyone. Take care. We'll see you soon.
Awesome. See you guys.
Bye guys. Bye everybody. Bye.